your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
This war stops now.
End the war. Bring freedom to our people.
No more tricks. No more lies. Only truth.
This is where we hold them! This is where we fight!
Welcome to the Stop and Listen podcast. I am your host, Jamie. How are you doing this evening? So, from our the last episode I put out, it was all about Christian news and stuff and some of my thoughts, and it didn't do too well. And I actually lost a subscriber, which is fine. And I've since gained 2 back, so it all works out. I don't want to beat anyone over the head with who I am, but I mean, when it's relevant, and also want us to kind of grow together. And I had some thoughts that we need to examine about religion, about Christianity. Okay, so whether it's an atheist or agnostic or an anti-theist, as I like to use, think of things through their perspective, my Christian brothers and sisters who may be watching. So if you would ask them to name a Christian, your average non-believer on the street, what are they going to say? The Pope? Joel Osteen? Right? That I guarantee you that would probably be the top 2 by far. So those 2 are the worst examples of of Christianity for 2 completely different reasons. And so a lot of the Christian scholars, they scoff at Joel Osteen and they don't go completely after him. And they're trying to act Christian, but when a man is an abomination and is making your faith look bad and making it harder to actually bring other people to Jesus, because if they think that is what that is, then understandably why people would want to stay away. Of course, the Pope, the Catholic Church, and their dubious history, you have that. Say you've got a very informed little atheist out there, right? And you see the things that are happening around the world. For some reason you're interested, right? So, Christian man sentenced to life in prison for blasphemy over Facebook posts using a stolen phone. So somebody apparently stole his phone and posted a blasphemous meme, and he's been sentenced to life in prison in Pakistan. 1/3 of Christians arrested in Iran targeted for possessing multiple Bibles, report. And in Africa, Christians are slaughtered routinely. Christian converts slaughtered for confessing faith in Jesus. Okay? All right, so pretend we have a non-believer. You think, who are Christians? We got the Pope, and we got Joel Osteen. And then around the world, people are slaughtered. Then, look at what Christians say they believe. Love God and love one another. The 2 greatest commandments. And do we do that? It's not good enough to just not be hateful. You have to go out and love. You have to show your neighbors love. Okay? You see the suffering that is going on in our very country, and then look at Joel Osteen and his jets. And there are many, many pastors out here in your community that wishes they were Joel Osteen. We are not representing ourselves well, fellow Christians. We allow evil to pass by us every day and we don't look at it. We put our heads down. Shame on us. Shame on us. I had a thought today. I listened to Kirk Cameron on the Tim Pool podcast, and I was shocked to see that combination. Tim Pool, I kind of assumed he was atheist generally, and he actually corrected that on the show today. He's agnostic. He's not a Christian. And Kirk Cameron is a heartthrob in the 80s, became a Christian, and makes Christian content. Seems like a great man. And I've never seen Kirk Cameron on a normal podcast that I listen to. And it was very good, very good. I mean, seems like a great man. Kirk Cameron, he's trying to raise money for a project where he's trying to put on a television show for children that is, positive. And Tim Pool said, all right, our super chat. So I guess I'm not exactly sure how it works. Maybe someday I'll find out myself. But or people were throwing money, donating money. So he was eliciting donations from his listeners for Kirk Cameron's venture. And then Tim Pool's like, yeah, and I'll match everything. And he just going up. And Kirk Cameron was so thankful. That's sort of like, and it hit me though. It's like, okay, so you got Tim Pool. If you listen to him, he talks super positively about Christians, even though he's not one. And Adam Carolla, not ardent, but an atheist. And I've never heard him even say that he was like agnostic. I don't know. Like, he doesn't talk about his own beliefs very much anymore, but he used to. But he sure talks about Christians a lot, and Christian ethics, and seems to say, and he said repeatedly that we need more of that in this country. And Joe Rogan's the biggest one, because he's been absolutely insulting to Christians for many, many years, and is softened and softened and softened, and to the point where it sounds like he's opening himself up to faith. Anyway, Joe Rogan, he allowed, not only allowed, he encouraged Oliver Anthony to read the Bible on his podcast. He's been speaking he's been speaking much more positively, for sure. Anyway, then we've also had Jordan Peterson, talk in a way about God, and I think that's kind of transformed some people, giving people a way and in. I think it did. So we've got these people, these mouthpieces. Joe Rogan with his massive influence. Carolla with his damn big influence. Holy shit, okay. Anyway, so Joe Rogan with his massive following. Now, then I said Adam Carolla. I'm gonna clean up in the edit. Because like Adam Carolla, they kind of started out on even par. Like Adam Carolla really was like the first podcaster. Only Tom Green, in a way. And then Carolla, and then Rogan. And then Rogan exploded, and Carolla's, maintained a very solid fan base. When I said Rogan's massive following, okay, so for example, on YouTube he has 16.1 million followers. And then Adam Carolla has a mere 300,000. It's like, wow. That's pretty significant. And Tim Pool has 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube. And so anyway, my point is, we have people who have a voice who aren't Christians who say we need more Christians. We need more Christian ethics, Christian morality in this country. So maybe we need some new Christians to step up. And there are some amazing Christians that are out in the media, that do the podcast, that do YouTube. We have a great presence. But Christians, it's time to stop putting our heads down and put our shoulders back, our chin up, and take a step forward. We need to stand tall. We need to lead. We need these people with these voices and people like them who are just skeptical, don't know, fine. We're not going to force ourselves on them, but we should lead. We'll stand in the front. They'll get behind us because they support us, and we need to lead and get the shrapnel. That's what Jesus said. Jesus said, Paul showed it in his life, and the other apostles as well, but Paul was a little bit more, we got a little bit more documentation on Paul. He said it wasn't going to be easy. We're going to be persecuted. It is not a walk in the park. It is not Joel Osteen. We need to step up, Christian brothers and sisters, and start leading. Stop putting our heads down. Stop being silent. Stop being quiet. You don't have to shove your beliefs down people's throats, but lead with your morality. And of course, be open about your faith. We are charged to be disciples. That doesn't mean you never talk about it, but you just got to do it right. You got to do it right. It's very difficult. I've got a lot of problems with churches. I stopped going to one church when the leak about the Roe versus Wade being overturned happened, or when it was actually overturned. No mention of that. Christians being put in prison. No mention of that. I've tried a lot of churches out in my area, and they all fail. They all fail pretty much. Have you ever seen the movie Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon about Johnny Cash, his life? Okay, so this is a scene where Johnny Cash and his band are trying out for the first time.
Yes, I know when Jesus saved me, saved my soul. The very moment he forgave me, made me whole. He took away my heavy burdens. Lord, he gave me peace within. Peace within. Well, Satan can't make me doubt it. I won't doubt it. It's real and I'm gonna shout it. I'm gonna shout it. Well, I was there with...
Hold on. I hate to interrupt, but you guys got something else. I'm sorry. I can't market gospel no more.
So that's it?
Right here.
I don't
This
record
work-
material that doesn't sell, Mr. Cash, and gospel like that doesn't sell.
So is it the gospel or the way I sing it?
Both.
Well, what's wrong with the way I sing it?
I don't believe you.
See? Right
I
there.
don't believe in God.
I don't believe you. I've been at church and thought that.
Come on, let's go. No. I want to understand. I mean, we come down here, we play for a minute, and he tells me I don't believe in God.
You know exactly what I'm telling you. We've already heard that song 100 times. Just like that. Just like how you sang it.
Well, he didn't let us bring it home.
Now, this is a life-defining moment right here for Johnny Cash. This is my favorite part of the movie. I was always really drawn to it, and I guess it hit me because it's more profound than I even realized, because I never put the two and two together, the point I'm going to make here in a moment.
Bring it home. All right, let's bring it home. He was hit by a truck, and you were lying out in that gutter dying, and you had time to sing one song. Huh? One song people would remember before your dirt. One song that would let God know what you felt about your time here on earth. One song that would sum you up. You telling me that's the song you'd sing. That same Jimmy Davis tune we hear on the radio all day about your peace within and how it's real and how you're going to shout it? Or would you sing something different? Something real. Something you felt. Because I'm telling you right now, that's the kind of song people want to hear. That's the kind of song that truly saves people.
Right there. People are broken. Christians have stood by and allowed our culture to change. That doesn't mean you can't involve other religions or non-religions in that culture. There's room for that. But Christians have just went in hiding in this free country. So there's so much evil in the world. If someone actually does stumble into a church out of curiosity or pain or just lost and doesn't know where else to turn. Now, whenever I go to a church, I mean, they're always talking to that person. They don't ignore that person. They talk a lot about that person. Hey, if you're new, we'll give you a water bottle, and we'll get your email address, and that's nice. But what about the message, right? If you had a broken person in the audience that had opened their heart enough to let God in, and you as a pastor can't stop asking for donations, or you're just looking for the applause line, telling jokes and skits and shit, shame on you. Shame on you. I'm not a pastor, though. But there's more I can do. I'm not sure how, but there is. There's a lot more I can do. I don't have kids, not yet. That may not be in God's plans for me. But maybe I can make a positive difference in my culture. I mean, one reason is, I work a lot of hours, folks, and I do this too. And I can do more. I just got to figure out how to do this so efficiently. So, there's my opening statement. There's my call to arms. Not literally. Stand up. Put your shoulders back. Put your chin out. And look evil in the eyes. And send it back to where it came from. So the rest of our culture, the rest of our society can enjoy the benefits of it.
All right, I'll tell you a story. This is a newspaper, right? It's 90% bullshit, but it's entertaining. That's why
in the news,
because it entertains.
President Trump,
an extremely stable genius.
threw out some names apparently.
So someone who can step in, someone who can step into the role.
Most importantly, you have to view that.
The audience has been asked who they think would be a good choice, and various names came up. One of them was, of course, Vivek Ramaswamy. Yeah. He's made a big splash. Ron DeSantis, who's making an appearance today in South Carolina, we just found out. Obviously, Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, and a big presence here for Tulsi Gabbard. Very interesting. And Kristi Noem as well, I should say. Right. Are they all on your short list? And when can we expect that you will announce your choice?
Okay, so let's break that one down. And it's so funny that I didn't plan that. I clapped along with Tulsi Gabbard, and I don't agree with a lot of her politics, but I think she's the best. She's the best choice. Vivek is too audacious for Trump. And I watched a video, a pretty good takedown video by a native Indian who had accepted Christ in his life. Pretty good takedown of Ramaswamy. I still support him. I'm not turning my back on him, but it was pretty eye-opening. DeSantis, no. I mean, I could see DeSantis in the administration. So if Trump had picked Nikki Haley, he would be finishing up his 2 terms. And as the vice president, she would be walking into the White House. Or would she have stabbed him in the back? I mean, she very well could have stabbed him in the back for sure. She probably would have, actually. But anyway, I don't know a ton about how Kristi Noem is governed. I probably like her politics a little bit better than Tulsi Gabbard. But look who we picked last time, Mike Pence. So let's hear what he has to say.
The one thing that always surprises me is that the VP choice has absolutely no impact. It's whoever the president is. It just seems. I remember when Sarah Palin was actually picked, and she did have a big up, and then they just went after her at a level that nobody's seen. The Republicans themselves went after what they did.
But you'll be a one-term president because you've already served, so you can only serve for 1 term, although they say you'll never leave office. I assume that you'll never leave. There'll never be another election
don't
again.
do it. He'll never leave. He's never going. Oh, these people. They are crazy.
So for that reason, it is important who you pick.
I think it's very important. But look, first is that, as we said, it has to do with whoever is, it's a very important position for that reason. You would like to get somebody.
Okay. The little difference on who the vice president is, perhaps. Like, Hillary's vice president was Tim Kaine or something like that. I haven't heard from him since. But if you're running in a party, you kind of want to cultivate that bench. So, I mean, it should matter because he should be picking. Oh, that was good. He should be picking a successor. Is how we should look at it. Which I wouldn't want Tulsi Gabbard to be a successor. So, but I still want her to be the pick. So I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
That could help you from the voter standpoint. And honestly, all of those people are good. They're all good. They're all solid. And I always say, I want people with common sense because there's so many things happening in this country that don't make sense. Who wants an open border? Who wants high interest rates? Who wants all electric vehicles? And they're fine, but you want to have choice. You want to go to combustion. You want to go to any hybrid. I think the hybrid are much better from that standpoint. But we were talking about faucets. We're talking about so much. It's all based on common sense. We want a strong military. We want choice in education. We want to have things that can really make our country great again. What we're doing with the open border is a disaster. We are destroying our country. We're going to change that.
Obviously, he is far more cognitive than Biden. But what was that? I mean, he finally got to the border. Is it something you just...
fast, and we're going to get your energy prices down.
Mr. President, thank you so much for this.
Okay, I was told he called out Tim Scott specifically, or was I just not paying attention when he did? Anyway, he's going to pick Tim Scott. Tim Scott, I mean, because Tim Scott is the black Mike Pence. I mean, it's not the worst pick. I mean, he's not going to do DeSantis, or he does not find Tim Scott threatening. And as I said, Vivek's a little too audacious for him, I would say. And he doesn't want that many eyes off of him. Same thing to DeSantis to an extent. I mean, he's not like an attention whore. He's actually much more reserved. And he would be fine not being paid attention to, but as many people talk about DeSantis, that's what he doesn't like. But I seen this.
Thank you so much. Aloha. It's wonderful to see you all here again at such a critical time. Our democracy is under attack. The perpetrators of this attack are those who, in the name of saving our democracy, are destroying it. I don't use these words lightly. Every one of us who loves this country and who cherishes peace and freedom.
This video came out
should be
today.
Very alarmed by those who,
I don't know
driven
if I'll
by
have this
their
video up today,
insatiable hunger
but this
for
one came out
power,
today.
are actively undermining all that we stand for. And almost every single day, if you're paying attention to the news and the headlines, there is some new assault and some new attack. Now, it's the Democrat elite and the swamp creatures in Washington who are doing all that they possibly can to keep us, the American people, from a very simple thing, having the freedom to choose who we want to be our next president. And it is clear through their actions they have no respect for us, and they have no respect for our fundamental rights as citizens of this democratic republic. They are so terrified that we, the people, may make what they think is the wrong choice. That in the name of protecting democracy and saving us from ourselves, they're actually destroying our democracy and taking away our freedom. Now, we look throughout history and we can see many examples of evildoers who find some justification, who believe that they are doing the right thing. And so today we see the Democrat elite say with great concern in their voice that if the American people elect Donald Trump again, they warn us he will destroy our democracy. They say he will be the dictator-in-chief, that if he's elected, it will be the last election this country sees. It's laughable. It is so crazy, it's laughable. But they're justifying their actions by telling themselves that they need to destroy our democracy in order to save it. It's lunacy, and it's the mindset and mentality of dictators. They are waging a multi-front battle, and they will stop at nothing until they're successful. I'm going to go through a few of the many examples. We've seen how Colorado, Maine, 32 states have taken some action or another themselves in an unprecedented way to try to remove the leading Republican candidate for president, Donald J. Trump, from the presidential ballots. In defiance of the Constitution, these people are single-handedly deciding that somehow they alone have the authority to take away our right as citizens to decide who we want to be our president. We see in Congress, a progressive Congressman, Ro Khanna from California, someone who I've known for years. He is so desperate to take Trump off the ballot that he's demanding that the chairman of the Federal Reserve, a position that's supposed to be nonpartisan and apolitical, take action and intervene to stop the former president from getting reelected. On December 27th of last year, Representative Khanna said in a post on X that Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, quote, should cut interest rates now, given most of inflation was caused by supply shocks. If he doesn't, he may be the person most responsible for the return of Trump. The Democrat elite and their cronies, they're using our criminal justice system to prosecute.
See, I mean, that's
and
great.
distract
I mean, they will hurt us to achieve their objective. I personally believe the Democratic Party will do that far more than the Republican Party, but they'll do it too, just in a different way. It just looks different. See, people always say, hey, like, whenever there's a kerfuffle in Washington, I just wish they would get along. You don't have all this divisiveness in politics. No, they do get along. They're at the same cocktail parties. They go to the same restaurants together. They have meals together. No, the problem is that they get along.
A very dangerous precedent is being set. Our democratic republic is being destroyed by the permanent Washington elite, and there are people in both political parties who truly believe they and not the American people have the right to decide who should be our president.
I mean, she is saying more conservative things now than when she first came onto the scene and Rogan started having her on. It seemed like a natural progression of her witnessing what is happening. But she seems like the same person, though. I think she's authentic.
They easily and dangerously dismiss our Constitution, the rule of law, the voices of the American people, anointing themselves as the ones who have the power and justification to make this most important decision. Now, I've only mentioned a few of the many examples. I could write a whole book detailing all that's been done, all that the Democrat elite and Washington establishment have done and are doing to try to destroy Donald Trump and steal our election. As you know very well, President Trump has endured years of attacks. What we're seeing now is a continuation of something that began in 2016, ever since he came down that golden escalator. Now, I've met a lot of strong, tough people in my life. I can't think of a single one who could not only withstand all that they are throwing at Donald Trump without crumbling, but someone who would actually choose to keep fighting against the entire Washington establishment.
I mean, it is quite impressive. Like, they don't believe that he loves America as much as he does. Or is he just so narcissistic? He's not evil. He's not doing it for... I don't know why he's doing it. But I'm kind of getting a little weary with the non-specifics of his agenda, though. I haven't even... He doesn't even say drain the swamp anymore. Because you'll see... I got another video after this one that's worth talking about.
I've known Joe Biden for a long time. I used to consider him a friend. Do you think he could handle this pressure? I don't think so. I think even a fraction of this pressure and stress and attacks that Trump has endured would cause him to crumble. Now, if you listen to what Nikki Haley has been saying, she claims that President Trump only cares about himself and that he's doing all that he's doing only for himself. If that were the case, wouldn't he just walk away from all this? Walk away from the headaches and the attacks and the stress that he's enduring right now?
If he wouldn't have announced he was running for president, he could be living in peace. True Social, the app, I just downloaded it. I haven't really farted with it much, but it's about to go public, and apparently he's going to make like $4 billion off of it. Like,
so why doesn't he? I've had the chance to meet with him and speak with him at length, and I've seen firsthand his heartfelt interactions with friends of mine, veterans, and I've seen how he has touched their hearts and moved them to tears as he expressed his appreciation for their service and their sacrifice. No cameras, no crowds, just that heartfelt conveyance of appreciation. I've gotten a sense for what motivates him, and it's got nothing to do with what the Washington establishment is accusing him of. This is a man who's a fighter. He has strength and resilience.
she was trying to run against him in 2020. This woman was running for the Democratic primaries to take Trump out. And look how she speaks. Tulsi Gabbard should be the vice president. This is a great speech. I would love to see like the Kamala, go on about Joe. See how that would work out.
And resilience can only come from one place. His ability to endure this hardship can only come from one place, and that's a sincere love and concern for the future of our country and his care for the American people. But we've got a lot of work to do ahead of us. Now is the time for us to act motivated by our love of country. We've got to take all the outrage and sadness and fear that we may feel, caused by those in power who have no care or respect for the will of the people, Take all of those feelings and let that motivate us to take action, to find strength in knowing that they are doing what they're doing because they're afraid of us. That just like we see foreign dictators are afraid of democracy, the Democratic leaders are so afraid of a free people and a free society, and the possibility that we, the American people, might make the wrong choice in this election by choosing someone other than them.
No matter how you vote, really, but I mean, just think about that. Why are they so afraid of us? I just wish my Democratic voting friends out there, and there's a handful of good Republicans out there. The rest of them might as well be Democrats. Why are they so? I mean, yeah, Donald Trump is rough around the edges. He's verbose and annoying, but he's a populist. Why are they so afraid of doing what's good for our country? Almost no one is an advocate for us publicly that are politicians. See, like politicians get to the liberals right now anyway, primarily by talking about the alphabet people. And then they'll give deference to, black people, and not along whenever reparations is brought up, or they need to score some points before they go into that southern draw, of course. I mean, they placate to the minorities, but I mean, why do you think they want gun control? Liberals, why do you think they want gun control? Do you think they want gun control so people don't die? No. If that was the case, cities would have far more police officers if they were concerned about people dying. No, they don't want the guns.
They are doing all they can through the power of law enforcement, the criminal justice system, national security state, doing all that they can to stop us from exercising our freedom. They forget that we, the people, are the ones with the power. But we have to use that power. We cannot allow them to get away with this. Our democracy is under attack, and it's up to us to save it. We have to hold those responsible accountable at the ballot box. We have to send this strong message to leaders in both parties that those who abuse their power and undermine our democracy and our freedom will not be tolerated.
Yeah, this episode's definitely not going up
if we
tonight.
do nothing.
See, my problem is the biggest obstacle I face. I record off my cell phone, and I'm fine with the quality and everything, and the audio comes from this. Even though the audio that picks up off my phone a lot of time, it sounds better to me anyway. But yeah, I got the microphone. I'm gonna utilize it. But I can't figure out how to transfer the data, like the video, from my phone to my laptop. I would think it should be a simple drag and drop. I remember that's how it used to work, at least with photos. I can't figure it out. So I have to upload it to the cloud, and that takes a while, especially when the videos are longer, which they are, and I'm almost at an hour now. And I got some more shit to say.
Unfortunately, war is sometimes necessary to defeat those who threaten the safety, security, and freedom of the American people. And as a soldier serving now for almost 21 years in our military and still serves today, I know this firsthand. But I also know that war must always be a last resort after all other avenues have been exhausted.
I mean, she took the vaccine. Yeah.
We need leaders who are committed to upholding the rule of law, who are committed to keeping our communities safe.
Okay, to be honest, I didn't know she was still active. She told us to talk about freedom. Had she spoken out and refused to get the jab and would have been discharged, I assume, that would have put her on a different level for sure. She missed an opportunity there. Hopefully, everything's working well.
And securing our borders. In our America, we must come together inspired by love. Love for God, love for others, love for our country. Because we live in the greatest country in the world. It's filled with potential for us to stand together and build a brighter future and a more perfect union where every American can live free, in peace, and with opportunity for prosperity. To make this future a reality, we must not only come together in spaces like this with our brothers and sisters who agree with us, we also have to reach out to those who we may not agree with on every issue, but who love this country as we do and who are just as frustrated with those abusing their power as we are, whether they're Democrat, Republican, Independent, or Libertarian. We must stand together as fellow Americans who cherish peace and freedom, cherishing our commitment to save our country and defend our republic. Those in power in America today are leading this great nation toward the suicide Abraham Lincoln warned of. If we do not act now, we will look back at this very moment with regret.
She's right.
We won't be able to say that we had no warning. By God's grace, we are free and we will remain free. God bless you all. God bless America.
Our future vice president, everyone. Let's hope. That was a great speech. That was amazing. So I found this video. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is putting out some content. You really ought to listen to what he has to say. So let's do that.
Everybody says they're going to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. President Trump said that he was going to drain the swamp, but then he brought John Bolton in to run the NSA. It was like the template for swamp creatures.
Yep.
And he brought Mike Pompeo in to run the State Department, who is the most bellicose and belligerent militarized foreign policy of any individual in our country. He brought...
See, that's... Okay, so I'd heard some great things about Mike Pompeo. I'd never heard him be accused of being a... whatever he just said. But, I mean, well, he just did, so...
Scott Gottlieb, a business partner to Pfizer, in to run FDA, and Gottlieb did an $88 billion favor for his company, and then he left FDA back to the board of directors to collect his payoff. And if you look at every one of the agencies, the same thing happened. There were more lobbyists in government than any time in American history, running the agencies that are supposed to regulate their industries. And it wasn't about draining the swamp. I believed President Trump wanted to do that, but I don't think he was able to stand up to his bureaucracy. And he said great things. He said, I don't want to do lockdowns. They make no sense. And then a week later, he ordered them. A 2-week lockdown that ended up in almost 2 years. He said that hydroxychloroquine worked, and then he backed down, so he was able to be rolled by his bureaucracy. And I believe that he had his chance, and that President Biden had his chance. And the big issues that are confronting our nation, which is the systematic destruction of the working poor, of the American middle class, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And we need a big change in this country.
%, right? Don't disagree with anything he said. You know, I wouldn't like his Supreme Court picks if he chose them, but you know what? I'm not thrilled with outcomes from the Trump one. I mean, yeah, they ruled like I wanted to with Roe versus Wade, but I mean, a couple of them had been wonky on some stuff, so no. The problem is our government is too big and powerful, and then that's favors can be given and sold, and exactly what he was talking about. It has to be made smaller. And I haven't heard him talk about a smaller government. He's been talking about a more moral government. How do we get there? You have to take away the power and give it back to the people. I think I'm a RFK Jr. supporter. I think I am. I mean, he's not going to win. And how he sways the vote could ruin our country. I don't know. Maybe I end up hating him. But he's actually talking about real things. You heard Trump earlier. Generalities. I think we need RFK Jr. I do. I mean, is there any way? Because, I mean, if the Democratic Party, I mean, he's not going to play games, though. They want somebody they can control. But strategically, right? If he stays in the race and he keeps gaining ground. Apparently, he's pretty consistent. He's not gaining a ton of ground, but the closer we get, and if he picks VP, if Trump picks Tim Scott and he picks Tulsi Gabbard, that might be a pretty good ticket. Now he'll increase. He will increase. He's only going to increase if he stays in. But what if the Democrats at the DNC and they realize that when the Democrats know they have to make a choice, they have to make a change. Now, can they just hand it to Michelle Obama? I mean, that's what I think is going to happen somehow, some way. But there's Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. It'll probably be her. Because there's Gavin Newsom, but he's a white man. You can't have two white men in a row run. That's bad for it's bad for the country. But what if the Democratic Party just slid RFK in there? I mean, he's at like 17% now, I think. So according to The Hill, now this came out in December, so we're 2 months old here. It says 20% are open to voting for him, and I thought I heard 17% earlier. That's what I was trying to find, but couldn't find it. But anyway, and that's only going to increase. What if the Democrats well, if we just give it to him, he's already got support, and if he's the nominee, then what would I do if what would I do if RFK Jr. was the Democratic nominee versus Donald Trump as a Republican? I couldn't do it, but what I just said was true. I like what RFK is saying more. Oh, and by the way, if you like my shirt, that's a sarcastic. Public schools teach kids to hate God, hate their parents, hate the country, and hate themselves too. So no, public schools are essentially training grounds for terrorists. Not, I mean, those kind of terrorists yet, but it could be coming. Anyway, so that's all I got for today. You know, we need to be like Moses. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be religious in any way to be like Moses. Moses was able to get his people freed from slavery. They were lost. The people were hungry, and they were complaining that at least when they were slaves, they got meat. You know, when we had the American Revolution, it wasn't the majority of settlers that supported independence. It's time to step up and make your voice heard. Go to a city council meeting. Go to your local school board meeting. You don't say nothing. Make friends. You go to these meetings and you start talking to people. You make friends, and you find people who have stuff in common, same thoughts. And then you got a group. Then you got a team, you got a squad. And you can make change with that. So please get involved. Please get involved. So that's all I got. This is the longest I've talked up until this point. As I said, I'm going to edit the shit out of this. Is an hour and 18 minutes at this point. So I'm done talking. This is going to take forever to download. It sucks. I need to get by a camera. So please like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. And, just got 2 subscribers. I said, lost 1. I noticed that. And then we got 2 more after that. And that's awesome. And thank you so much for subscribing. So everybody, I hope you enjoyed some of my ramblings. I will see you next time. Have a good night. And love one another, folks. Love one another. That's what this one says here. Love one another. So, I've been rambling on for a long time, but to close, I had a thought. I don't know what caused the thought, but my niece, she's like 9 years old, and nephew's 6. But for this, I'm talking about my niece, and she, there were times that we would go mainly to my mom's, and like a big, swing in a tree. And I would push her. I do that sometimes. I think one time I was like, I don't really feel like it. My back's hurting or something. I don't know. I think the last time I pushed her on the swing, I did for a while. And I said, all right, that's enough. I don't feel like it anymore. We'll swing later. Never did. I'm probably never going to push my niece on a swing again. And I would. I don't care how old she is. I'd push her on a swing. But that's gone. It's gone. When my niece was like 2-3 years old, we'd go on these walks in her neighborhood and subdivision. There was like this rock at one point. Every single time she came over, and she said she wanted to give that rock, she wanted to take that rock to Grandma's house. Grandma needed that rock for some reason. And she loved flowers. She would always stop and smell the flowers, and there's a dog that I always kind of knew was ready. The dog is going to start barking. She's going to get scared, and I'm going to pick her up. And one day we had our last walk. Next time one of those opportunities comes, let's not ignore them. Let's not say next time. Let's not say not today. Because those moments, there's only so many of them, and you don't know how many you have left. And it's like, but the most amazing thing is I have the opportunity for new memories. Don't miss another opportunity for memory to do one of those things. Don't be distracted by your phone and what's streaming and your fantasy football team. Man. Hold on to what's precious. It'll be gone before you know it. I hope I'm able to edit that and make that sound coherent. But thank you. Again, like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. I appreciate it. I'll see you next time.
This is your life, and it's ending 1 minute at a time.
This war stops now.
End the war. Bring freedom to our people. No. No more tricks. No more lies. Only truth.
This is where we hold them! This is where we